inherently one or many is first presented concisely and then applied to refute non-Buddhist as well as Buddhist contentions, in order to establish that neither what is imputed nor its basis of imputation has true existence. The text first examines whether the pot and its constituents, like visual form, are inherently one or different. If they were inherently one, there should be a pot wherever there is a visual form. Alternatively, if the pot possessed visual form as something inherently different from itself, the two would be unrelated, and we should be able to see a pot without necessarily seeing its form. In developing this examination of the relationship between the pot and its parts, the text investigates Vaisesika contentions regarding the relationship between the generality, existence, and specific instances such as a pot. Here, the relationship between a substantial entity, a pot, and its attributes and the relationship between one attribute and another are also investigated.
According to Vaisesika contentions, one would not be able to say that the pot exists because the pot and existence are inherently different and thus unrelated. Neither could one say, one pot, since a substantial entity and its attributes, in this case the pot and one, are asserted to be inherently different and possession between them not reciprocal. When we say a large pot, we mean its form is large. According to the Vaisesikas, however, both form and size are attributes and one attribute cannot qualify another, with the absurd consequence that a large pot could not exist. Next, Sautrantika assertions regarding the relationship between characteristics and what they characterize is examined. The pot, for instance, is not a truly existent single unit, since it is composed of 8 constituents with their own individual properties. Nor is it a truly existent plurality, since there is not a separate pot for each of these constituents. The opponent argues that the constituents combine to form a truly existent pot. Yet how do tangible constituents such as the 4 elements combine with intangible ones such as visual form? These constituents are merely components and not the compound itself. If the compound is not truly existent because it depends on its parts, neither are the components, since they too depend on their parts.
If form is truly existent, why is one form a pot and another not a pot? Surely all forms should be pots, since distinctions would indicate dependence on other factors. A pot comes into existence through causes which require their own causes. How can anything which is produced in this way be truly existent? When the components retain their own particular properties, how can their combination form a truly existent single unit? The components themselves, for instance visual form, depend on their constituents, such as the 4 elements. The elements too exist only in dependence upon each other and not in and of themselves. Even elemental particles, when subjected to similar scrutiny, are found to depend on their parts and other factors. Finally, the diamond fragments reason, which examines production by focusing on the effect, and the reason of dependent arising are reiterated to establish lack of true existence. Through inability to understand the continuum of things or the nature of composites correctly, they are thought to be permanent and truly existent. However, their lack of true existence should not be confused with non-existence. Things are like magical illusions, in that they appear to exist in and of themselves, but actually depend upon each other. Inherent existence implies permanence, which precludes the coming into existence of things in dependence on other factors. Only by understanding that things do not exist as perceived by conceptions of true or inherent existence can the seed of cyclic existence be destroyed. We should therefore make a great effort to develop a correct understanding of reality.
The 15th chapter examines the production, duration, and disintegration of impermanent phenomena, since the opponent uses the existence of these characteristics to support the argument that products are truly existent. Refutation of inherent production is the main focus, since by refuting this, inherent duration and disintegration are automatically also refuted. Inherent production of a thing is impossible, for neither that which exists nor that which does not exist at the time of its causes is produced by way of its own entity. Something non-existent at the time of its causes cannot come into being in and of itself. If it could, even totally non-existent things like rabbits' horns could occur, since they would not depend on producing causes. On the other hand, neither would something already existent at the time of its causes require anything to bring it into existence. A thing is not produced while it exists nor while it is non-existent. Since there is no other possibility, how can production be truly existent, for when analyzed nothing is findable?
Do the 3 characteristics production, duration, and disintegration occur sequentially? They cannot, for they are simultaneous aspects of an ongoing process, dependent on one another. Unless a thing has all three of these features, it cannot be a product. Moreover, inherent production is impossible, since things are not produced from themselves, i.e. from that which has the same nature, nor from that which has a different nature, for neither have inherent existence. Since production, duration and disintegration cannot be found to exist before, simultaneously or after that which they characterize, they cannot exist inherently. Even aging is relative, for a product constantly undergoes production. Are these characteristics and that which they characterize inherently one or different? If they were one, they would lose their specific identities, while if they were different, things could not be impermanent. Something that already exists is not produced again, nor do its causes still exist, when it has been produced. The relationship between cause and effect and the function of production are then examined to establish their lack of inherent existence. The opponent argues that if neither that which is already produced and therefore functional nor that which is unproduced and therefore non-functional is being produced, what is being produced must be that which is presently undergoing production. To demonstrate that this too is not produced in and of itself, that which is in the process of being produced is next investigated. Is it identifiable as half produced or half unproduced? Does it already have an identity or not? Is it findable as something between the past and the present? Can one find anything, when an attempt is made in this way to identify the process of production and that which is being produced? What is the criterion for existence and non-existence? Through this investigation it becomes clear that causes and effects are interdependent, and that neither the arising of an effect nor the cessation of a cause occurs in and of itself.
The 16th chapter once more reviews the purpose of the text, explaining that it is to lead us to liberation by overcoming attachment to cyclic existence. Liberation can only be attained through a correct understanding of reality, but those who are unintelligent or lack sufficient instruction regarding the nature of reality fear emptiness. It is therefore essential to prepare their mind sufficiently by helping them to gain an undistorted understanding of conventional reality. Only then should the path which frees one completely from the cycle of involuntary birth and death be revealed to them. The preceding chapters refute all kinds of innate and speculative misconceptions about things which are in fact empty of inherent existence. Some final arguments raised by opponents of the Madhyamaka system are examined. Opponents support the contention of true existence by pointing out that both the author, his subject matter, and the words he uses exist. Of course they exist, but not inherently as is claimed, because they depend upon one another. One can only refute another's thesis by convincingly establishing one's own, but the arguments advanced by the opponents to establish their theses remain as unproven as the theses themselves. As part of a final refutation of extreme views, the fact that even emptiness lacks true existence is emphasized. If Madhyamakas assert that emptiness were truly existent, the phenomena which act as its basis would necessarily also be truly existent. However, since no such assertion is made, how can these phenomena have true existence?
This is followed by a summary of various refutations of true existence introduced in previous chapters. When one examines how fire exists, whether a thing and its parts are inherently one or different, or how particles exist, one finds that nothing is truly existent but that everything depends on other factors. From the point of view of their fundamental nature, there are no distinctions among phenomena, for everything is equally empty of true existence. If opponents of the middle way nevertheless choose to dispute this thesis, they must convincingly establish their own position, yet they repeatedly fail to do so. Thus, finding cogent arguments that invalidate the Madhyamaka position is obviously not as simple as they claim. If things were truly existent merely because one says they are, they would, by the same argument, be empty of true existence.